Hello everyone, my name is Holly and welcome back to your monthly dose of brand new book releases where I fill up your TBRs with really exciting books coming out the following month in the genres of fantasy, sci-fi, and horror. And of course, we'll be talking about some upcoming August releases. I think this is a fantastic list and there is something here for everyone. So without further ado, let's begin on August 5th. First up is House of the Beast. Are there any Legend of Korra fans out there? I'm sure there are, and you'll want to hear about this one because this is written by the illustrator of the Legend of Korra graphic novels. That's right, this is her debut. House of the Beast is a gothic atmospheric fantasy with eldritch horror with just some hints of romance thrown in. We have our protagonist who is on a revenge quest against her father with the help of a elder god as her imaginary friend. There's court politics, D&D elements, even illustrations throughout the book itself. If you love dark fantasy like I do, then definitely add this one to your TBR. Another gothic fantasy releasing is Girls of Dark Divine, which is like the Phantom of the Opera meets Black Swan. It's mixing body horror with mystery. We follow a group of girls who are dancers and they are bound together by not just friendship, but a curse as well. They have no control over their bodies and are being forced to dance until they die, all by the evil puppet master. And of course, one of the girls is ready to unravel the curse, face the horror head on, and challenge the evil pulling the strings no matter what it costs. Definitely something to look forward to if you enjoy darker stories, found family, and even ballet maybe. The Magician of Tiger Castle. This is a whimsical, cozy, and enchanting new release from an author best known for their beloved children's novels, but this time they're weaving magic for an older audience, and the result is, well, a stunning freaking cover. We follow through the eyes of a magician a love story about 500 years ago between a princess and a scribe. This also has slight touches of historical as it takes place somewhere south of France, and the story itself sounds just as rich as the cover, and it feels like one of those fairy tales for grown-ups where you just want to be swept away by something soft and a little nostalgic. Automatic Noodle. Isn't that cover so fun? I freaking love it. This is a cozy near-future novella about a crew of leftover robots opening their very own noodle shop. I'm personally very excited for this one. So in this world, San Francisco is recovering from a devastating war, and some of the activated robots come back online inside an abandoned kitchen. We follow them through their misadventures on establishing a restaurant, become their own property, and fighting off an internet troll who has one-starred their restaurant. Rude. Though it does have realistic dystopian elements, I'm assuming a low-stakes plot. It sounds cute and definitely different. Mad Sisters of Essie, a new high fantasy novel that is both lyrical and mystical, very much matches the cover. We follow two sisters who inhabit the Whale of Babel, a universe in itself that floats through the Black Sea. And while one sister is content in living this strange life, the other is convinced there is more out there. So she leaves and comes across an island where she learns much more and finds some hidden secrets. This whole story sounds like a fever dream, and I'm actually really excited for it. How to Survive Camping: A Man with No Shadow. So as someone who worked at a campground for many years, it would have felt so wrong of me to not include this book. So no, this is not a non-fiction book on how to build a fire or stake a tent. This is a horror novel, but a cozy one. It's about a manager of a haunted campground just trying to get through the season, and it's perfect for fans of Grady Hendrix and Rachel Harrison. It does mention haunted campground, but I think it does actually involve monsters and cryptids as well, which sounds way cooler in my opinion. And if you hope to survive this campground, you have to follow the manager's rules or it's off with your head. I love the sound of this. Like, what a perfect end of summer / beginning of fall read. I will be trying this one out for sure. Verity Fox and the Curse of Foxfire. This is a middle grade or like YA/teen novel, which takes readers to the small town of Foxfire. And here we follow a witch in training, still learning the ropes, who must help the town with their troubles and make new friends, search for a missing girl, and uncover a way to end the curse that is plaguing the coal mining town of Foxfire. This sounds wonderful. I love the cover. It sounds adventurous, and it's even being compared to the Ghibli movie Kiki's Delivery Service, which only sweetens the deal. I even think the main character like literally flies around with a broom. So I'd say that comparison is pretty spot on. Okay, we are finally moving on to a new date, and that is August 12th. We have one of my most anticipated releases of the year, and that is The Bone Raiders. Jackson Ford is a fantastic author in the Orbit Books circle, and he stands out for a reason, in my opinion, for his oftentimes crude and very unique writing. I love it personally, and he's back with a brand new fantasy, and oh man, am I pumped for this one. It sounds so good and right up my alley as it follows one of my favorite tropes. So it's an action-packed adult epic fantasy following a wild band of characters known as the Bone Raiders, who harness the power of gigantic fire-breathing lizards to defend their homeland. That's right, not dragons, but lizards. Kind of the same thing, but not really. You can look forward to my review because I will be reading this one in August. Song for Ghosts. This is a cover that I could have as like a banner on my wall. It is gorgeous and definitely the driving force of my interest in reading it. I'm not gonna lie. They say don't judge a book by its cover, but I am doing a whole lot of judging. This is a YA novel that follows a boy who finds a century-old diary written by a young woman in Nagasaki, Japan, and becomes haunted by her vengeful spirit. So we have the cursed haunted object that has been reawakened trope, a character discovering his long lost heritage. The cover is perfect. It is giving horror, but I'm wondering if it's like not as scary as the cover is making it out to be. You know, like I want the Grudge level, but I think I'm asking too much. But it might be just more like historical fiction, but it could be wrong. I don't want to be wrong. Moving on to August 19th, we have Hemlock and Silver. T. Kingfisher is adding even more to her already very large catalog, but this time with a dark reimagining of Snow White, where we don't necessarily follow Snow White, but a healer named Anja while she tries to determine who, if anyone, is poisoning the princess. Now, personally, I'm not a big fan of retellings anymore, but I like the sound of this perspective. And also it's Kingfisher. Like, not reading her new books is like skipping over the donuts in your office. Impossible. It just seems like an overlooked twist on the classic fairy tale we know and have seen way too much of. And T. Kingfisher, doesn't she like publish 3 to 4 books a year? It really feels like that anyways. There are 2 other books that she's publishing really soon, and both of those I have read. So will I be reading this one? Absolutely. Up next, I have The Possession of Alba Diaz. This is coming from Berkeley Publishing. It's a gothic historical horror novel set in 1950s San Francisco and Mexico. And we follow Alba Diaz, who has plans to control her fate by marrying her friend, but what she can't control is the plague that hits her town. So Alba, her betrothed, and their families pack up to go to a family home near the mines. And here, Alba encounters a demonic presence which possesses her. This book has a lot of elements going for it. Murder, romance, atmosphere, Mexican culture and history. Definitely one to add to your reading list. A Mother's Guide to the Apocalypse. So as the title suggests, this is a post-apocalyptic novel that is more of a character-driven story told from multiple point of views, but you do get the typical apocalypse ingredients like climate change, doomsday preppers, bandits, and amidst all of that, we have our group of perspectives at the core of their own problems and mysteries. Reviewers seem to say it's very straightforward and classic in terms of world-ending plots, so if you want a quick read to add to your stack, then look no further. So we do have a few sequels coming out in August, and one of them being The Last Soul Among Thieves. This is part of the Echo Archive series, book 1 being called The Last Hour Between Worlds, if that sparked your memory. Our main character finds herself tangled up in another reality-bending mystery. And yes, these books aren't super linear, but they aren't standalones either. I'd compare them to like the Fetch Phillips series by Luke Arnold, where they all kind of follow a separate story, but the same character, who is dealing with a new mystery in each book. And this time we're inside a mansion to save her childhood friends from a deadly curse. So this apparently has a more Sherlock Holmes murder mystery vibe to it, and people are really loving it. In fact, reviewers are saying that they enjoyed this book way more than the first one, which has me really interested. The Damned King, the 3rd novel in the adult fantasy series called the Eden Saga, not entirely sure how to pronounce that. But anyways, so this is not the final book. There will be a 4th one, which I'm really excited about. I read the first book to the series and really enjoyed it, but I definitely need to reread it to continue. So I might just be doing that. Actually, you know what? I will do that in August. I recommend the series for fans of Anthony Ryan for sure. I think that's a great comparison. It's very classic sword and sorcery following a group of characters, very found family in a really brutal fantasy world. If I remember correctly, I gave the first first one 5 out of 5 stars. I absolutely adored it. And also people are loving this book and are saying it's the best so far. And I'll end it on that note. So moving along to August 26th, speaking of Anthony Ryan, he's continuing his series as well with Born of an Iron Storm, the second book in his most recent Norse mythology inspired fantasy series, the first book being A Tide of Black Steel. And the sequel is picking up right after the events of that book. Again, I read that first book, but it would definitely help me to reread it before going into this one for sure, as it does follow a lot of characters, lots of battles happen, plot twists. If you were looking for a true Viking style fantasy, then look no further. Catabasis. Am I saying that right? Every time I say that out loud, I feel like I'm saying it wrong. Catabasis? Maybe, I don't know. This is a brand new novel coming from the famous R.F. Kuang, and it's a similar genre to her previous novel, Babel, actually. It's a dark academia about two post-grad students descending into hell to save their advisor. Now, if you are coming from her Poppy War series, which I think is a series that really put her name on the map, her recent works haven't been quite the same, not in a bad way, still awesome, but they are a lot more sophisticated, even more complicated even. They really dive into the value of education, power dynamics, grief. It's a whole new different beast, and I'm pumped to see her writing more and more. The world could use more books by her, and as someone who really enjoyed Babel, I'm really looking forward to this one. And finally, we have The Art of Legend, the most perfect book to end this list with, because this is the conclusion to the popular epic trilogy, the War Arts Saga, and this novel brings all the pieces together for an unforgettable finish. Wesley Chu started this story 3 years ago, I believe, all about a prophecy that was wrong. Taking the chosen one trope and finding out you're actually not the chosen one. Oops. If you're looking for a series that is full of heart, full of action, don't miss out on this one. And that's going to be it for my list today. There are so many books coming out in August and even beyond. We are getting into the hottest months for book releases where we are just drowning. So if there's a book you're excited about coming out next month that I didn't mention, please let everyone know down in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video and found something that you hadn't heard of before, like this video, it really helps me out a ton. Honestly, any interaction is greatly appreciated. Subscribe if you're not. I would love to have you here, and I hope you have a great week, and until we meet again, happy reading.